It's a celebration. Tomorrow I'm turning 33 years old. One of the best habits you can have on any birthday is reflecting. Reflecting on what you've been doing for the last year, catching up with your own story. The moment you can see your life story from a 30,000 point view and really look down upon what you got going on so you can see the pattern of growth. Hopefully, we always gotta be growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. That is a really solid way to level up. So this is one of the reasons we want to journal, because that way we can track what we've been doing for the last year and you can look back at it pretty quickly. So I want to roll through my story from 32 years old. I want to put this in the catalogs of Pete's history really quick, right? So I was blessed enough to start off this year filming my last video for Mindvalley, the Lifebook video shoot, sitting in John and Missy Butcher's house in Hawaii. They're the creators of Lifebook, one of the most extraordinary 6-week-long goal-setting programs ever. And I was sitting down there working on shooting a VSL for it. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that one to bang, but next I ended up going to Ibiza, and that's where probably the best thing that happened to me all year happened, which is meeting little Caitlyn O'Toole, this beautiful little amazing angel who had just gone through the most heart-wrenching time of her life, and she was an angel that fell down. And this is part of my 3-month manifesting. I've been working on manifesting the one, quote unquote. I hired this girl named Michelle Pound. I met at Burning Man. I paid her $15,000 to bring it, manifest the one. I was getting done with this like bachelor phase and dating multiple people and wanted to like really settle and kind of find somebody super special. And by the end of this, she appeared. And I was doing this little documentary for my friends there. One of the 6 days that we were there, and Caitlyn was interested. She was a sports producer beforehand, and she just had so much talent, but she had been destroyed due to some serious health issues, and I could see she was starting to come back. So we became friends, and that was kind of it from there. I didn't think it was gonna kind of go anywhere. I still had to go travel all over, and I ended up leaving after to go to Mallorca to stay with my friend Jeffrey Perlman's house, who was the founder of Zumba. I had about 3 weeks in Mallorca in Spain. And that was incredible because a couple things happened there. One, my VSL for Silva ended up getting #1 in the world. I remember sitting there watching the Machine Gun Kelly documentary, no joke. And there's this part of the documentary where he gets the #1 album in the world, and then his next goal is to have the #1 album again, and he like burns his team to the ground to like achieve this goal, and he finally got it, and he was like, "Man, what happens now?" And I remember when he was talking about how much he wanted to have the #1 campaign in the world, I vibed with that because I had always wanted to have the top campaign in the world. I wanted to be the greatest of all time. That was like what I wrote down over and over again. And then on that day, no joke, my friends over at Kendago, one of the biggest media buying companies in the world, text me, "Yo, you're #1 in the world." The same day that I see this, that I remember this goal that I had. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And then another company, VidTal, reached out and said, "Oh my God, you're #1 in the world." And I was like, holy fuck, I just became #1 in the world on YouTube with my VSLs. I started VSLs 10 years ago. So this was a 10-year check the milestone list that was pretty incredible. Now, I was a little bit frustrated, even though that this happened, I was a little bit frustrated because I didn't successfully do the most perfect deal in the world at Mindvalley, even though they made bazillions of dollars. I messed up a little bit on the equity side of things. So my dreams of making jet money still weren't able to come true. That was a big kind of challenge I remember having. I was frustrated because I knew I had to eventually leave Mindvalley and go do something else, do something that's gonna achieve my goals, right? The second that you get to a point where you can't achieve your goals anymore, you have to drop it no matter how dope it is, how amazing it is. You keep evolving. If you're not growing, you're dying. So I ended up just automating everything that I had at Mindvalley and starting to find this new big move. And the first big move I decided to do was crypto. Back in crypto, I had lost all my money, my millionaire status twice in crypto, and I had decided I'm not fucking done yet. I'm not going down twice and giving up. I'm going another time. So the first thing I wanted to do was to develop a YOLO investment. I had learned a lot from my previous 2 7-figure monster financial losses that I had done. And the next financial launch that I wanted to do was, my idea was, hey, all of the best coins in the world, they get taken immediately on the pre-sale, getting in super early. Crypto is all about being ahead of the herd by a mile, and that the herd is what kind of pays you off, right? So I had a theory that said, hey, I'm really good at this VSL thing. There's not a lot of good marketing in crypto. So my question is, if I could create a documentary for a crypto company, what if I could get extra allocation into this company? And that was my kind of thesis, and I didn't really know where to start. I asked a couple of friends. One of them happened to be the co-founder of Hedera Hashcraft, which is a monster company. And I had met this guy, Andrew Monsanto, 4 years prior at the world's first NFT live auction. Me and him got in a bidding war to buy Homer Pepe, which was granted on the internet as one of the most important NFTs of all time. Me and Andrew Monsanto got in a bidding war and drove the price all the way up to $36,000 in 2017 at the height of that crypto bull run. We were both in the same room at the first NFT live auction. It wasn't even called NFTs back then. We ended up going and trying to buy this thing, and the crowd ended up getting so loud that the auction guy couldn't hear who won. So by the end, we both thought we won. So we had to go flip a coin on the stage for who gets to pay $39,000 to buy a digital picture of Homer Simpson. And I won the coin flip, and I got to do it. And I ended up getting in a documentary and selling the thing for like 300 something thousand dollars. I think it was 205 ETH that I sold it for 3 years later after a pretty freaking heavy downturn the market took. And so Andrew and I had known a relationship. I call him up and he goes, yo, I'm actually working on this new startup called Nillian. What the fuck is Nillian? He's like, it's pretty amazing. We got the co-founder of Uber on board, right? I'm back doing this. This is gonna be my third unicorn he's working on. The founder of Indiegogo is involved with this. I think the legal person at Coinbase, and such an amazing team. They have really put together an incredible team. I was like, oh my God, so what does it do? Pre-launch, pre-everything. They just raised $20 million. They want to do a documentary and build up some marketing material to kind of hype this thing up. I was like, yeah, let me go interview everybody. But what do you guys do? And he's telling me that they're decentralizing data and computation. So there's blockchain, which is really only good for financial stuff because everything's public, right? But a lot of secret stuff you can't really have public. And there was this invention called multi-party computation a while ago, MPC, right? And what that does is basically it takes a piece of data, like your credit card, it splits it into 100 different pieces, puts them on 100 different computers in the sky. None of the computers know what your data is, so you're safe and secure. The strongest safety ever, because everybody has a piece of nothing, right? What this MPC does is when you fire your credit card, it fires all the computers, and then you get to use your credit card, but none of the computers know what you have. So this is this way to keep all of the world's data safe and have nobody know what any of your stuff is, right? If you insert your password into a website, they have your password, right? So this is a way for all of your data to be safe and secure, really futuristic. But the problem was this technology, couldn't work at scale because all these computers had to talk to each other. And this scientist out of Brussels ended up discovering a way to make it work. And it ended up being a legitimate breakthrough in the world of cryptography, in a sense. So they all banded together. They had like 40 people on the team and they started this company, raised 20 million. And I was like, that sounds fucking cool as balls. Can I shoot a documentary? He's like, sure. You know what? I was like, look, we're crushing it over here. I ended up going to Estonia to finish up a little bit of the Mind Valley stuff, getting ready to plan this shoot. During that time, coincidentally, I was talking to Caitlyn. I kind of just didn't think anything was going to happen with that because she's in California. I travel all over the place. It's never going to work. Anyway, she ends up getting on a plane and just flying from California to Estonia, taking 3 different layovers to go do this. Just not to go do this, but to go just hang out so I could teach her how I've been doing these documentary things and teach her my strategy. And she ends up flying out. I go to this 7-day long speaking conference by Eric Edmeades with Jeffrey and my friend, some other friends of mine. She shows up at the very last day. We're staying at Vishen's house, right? Vishen Lakiani, the guy who owns Mind Valley. The next day, I ended up teaching her. We ended up meeting all our friends, hanging out. I ended up teaching her this day where we're shooting this documentary. We're shooting just her story. I'm telling her story. I'm telling my story, and we're just practicing using camera equipment. And it turns out she's freaking genius at people, at producing. She had this whole background in video, and it suddenly hits me. Oh my God, I don't actually have anyone to work on a documentary with. It's just me and this videographer. I don't have anyone else. And she's such an amazing people person. I really want to have her help. So I ended up hiring her for the shoot. And next thing we know, we were flying from Estonia to London, to Amsterdam, to New York, to back to Amsterdam, all to do this monster Nillian shoot, interviewing 27 different people, capturing the whole side of the story for everyone in exchange for a freaking fortune of allocation. A fortune of allocation. They paid us over 6 figures to shoot this documentary in tokens. I basically took 25 grand in cash and the rest in tokens. And then more importantly is I had an opportunity to invest in this company, even though it was all sold out. So that was my way into this play, and that fulfilled my potential jet play, right? That was my first idea, is like YOLO invest. It's basically my version of going to the casino, right? Just like everybody else's version. But I wanted to set that back up because I didn't have a fucking football in the sky full of money that could potentially land on me in the future. And what was truly amazing that happened is Caitlyn and I ended up getting a little bit like lovey-dovey. Towards the last day, it was quite the adventure traveling around. And I remember on the last day, we're like, yo, we should like start, let's go to Switzerland, let's go to Switzerland, see the Christmas markets. And then we're just like starting to fall in love a little bit over in Switzerland. And I'm deciding to be like, oh, maybe we should be boyfriend, girlfriend. What do you think about that? And she said yes, which was pretty crazy, right? Which is pretty wild. We had a lot of crazy up and down swings, but that was mostly because she's been going through some heavy stuff since the loss of her brother. I think it was 3 months before we started hanging out. Her brother had passed away, and this isn't like any normal brother. This is like the tightest family you've ever seen in her whole life. So anyone, like tightest family, calls people 3 times a day, kind of family closeness, and to have a family member lost like that is like uber tragic. So she was going through a really, really hard time. What happened next? We flew to Puerto Rico to go do to go promote the video and just meet some other crypto people. We decided to we had a little bit of allocation to raise money from some friends because a lot of friends wanted to get in on this. We created a space so some of our friends could invest, and we were promoting it in Puerto Rico. That was very cool. Then we flew to Dana Point to go edit this documentary, and that's when I realized how fucking hard it is to edit documentaries. I ended up having nearly 17 hours, I think, worth of footage. Maybe not 17 hours, I mean, it was like 8 hours, 9 hours, I don't know, a lot of hours, somewhere between that. But basically, I had 100,000 puzzle piece to put together, right? It was crazy. I ended up having to like put together this half an hour documentary, and you're just searching through all of the data of 27 different interviews you did, asking 100 questions to each person, right? So you have so much footage, and I need to find the perfect sentence for right here, for this single moment. It was a serious monster mountain of an undertaking, and that was pretty crazy because I needed my full attention to focus on this, and Caitlyn was going through some heavy stuff, so we had some heavy explosion periods where that was super tough and super kind of hard to grind on. But eventually, we got it done. They didn't like it, so I had to redo it. I got it done. They didn't like it, so I had to redo it again. And the third version, they ended up liking, and we got it edited, and they loved it, and they're prepping, waiting for the market to do an uptick till they launch it again. And then we ended up getting everything that we wanted in the company. So we successfully closed that deal. And by the way, in order to get that deal, I had another manifestation coach, Aria Lores, that I met in Hawaii. This is John and Missy Butcher's light working coach. And she helps with manifesting money and manifesting wealth. And I was in Mallorca in Spain, frustrated that I didn't have my jet play. So we were looking to manifest a jet play, and then this situation came up. So again, this for me, all the times it happens by focusing and manifesting, right? The Caitlyn story, due to manifesting. The Nillian story, due to being so clear on what I want to create and having this new opportunity, manifested, and we ended up getting it done. That was cool. We ended up coming back home for Christmas, right, back to California, and then at the end, we flew to Chamonix, France, to do the Saga trip, right? I'm part of this really cool crew called Saga Supper Club. It's like a private little social gathering of entrepreneurs and Swedish people, and they try to throw parties together. It's like one big family that travels all over the world together. And they had this big event in Chamonix, France, which is incredible. We ended up going to Milan. We went on a big shopping spree. So once Caitlyn and I kind of like officially did the dating, I was like, hey, let's deck you out. Let's go full girlfriend mode. So we went to Milan and Paris and Turin, and went on a pretty heavy-duty shopping spree in YSL, and we got her decked out pretty hard, which is very fun. It was definitely like a dream come true to like go out and like deck out a new relationship that you're in and just like give super hard. That was cool. That was incredible. We went back to London for a while to kind of sit and gather our thoughts about what we wanted to do next because we just finished this documentary. And during that time, I had really discovered Wes Watson. I had used Wes Watson a while back for my fitness. He transformed me, and he had just started doing business coaching. I really felt, I came across a quote that said, the master is not the one who's the best in the world, the master is one who creates the most masters. And I really liked that because I was thinking about what to do next with my career. I could either keep doing VSLs and keep trying to be #1 in the world. I do like the Olympia strategy where you're like, you become Mr. Olympia and you do that as many times as you can, 7 times in a row, and then you're done, right? Whatever. I didn't really like that kind of play, so when I found this new idea, I was very excited and stoked about it because it was cool. right? It was very cool to think about the idea that I could help other people become great, very challenging, not the best at that, and I really vibed with that future. So I decided to hire Wes Watson. He yelled at me, motherfucker, for not doing coaching, right? So I reached out on my Instagram. Turned out I had an insane amount of people want to work with me. It was, I priced it really high, 20 grand for 4 phone calls and $7,500 for 1 call. Literally not prepared. I just could talk to you for that many hours. I did it Instagram, just simple little story. I sold $147,000 worth of one-on-one private coaching in 2 days, sitting in London. It was unbelievable. So I was like, damn, these people really want this thing, right? So I talked to everybody and I find out they all have the same thing. They just want to learn the same thing from me. So I decided to make a course, the VSL Masterclass. We ended up flying to Dubai. There was a Mind Valley event out there and we just decided we were going to stay there afterwards and begin filming the VSL Masterclass. Just like, Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. If you want to do a course, I was reading that book and he really breaks down all the steps. My job is to take someone from not knowing anything about VSLs all the way to the end to having a profitable campaign. So like, what do you need? You need the mindset, you need the strategy, you need the script writing, you need the production, you need to learn spy tools, right? You need to learn editing. So just this whole thing. And then what is everything I know in each little category? So I had a little Notion, kind of like Trello board almost, where I just, pieced together every single piece you had to know. And I would just lay down by the pool and I would just like, what do I want to do for this specific, part of the course? And I would just go in my voice notes and I would be like, if I was talking to somebody about what I think about mechanisms or trying to explain mechanisms to somebody casually, what would I say? And I was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I just recorded myself. And then that became the draft. And then I made it better. And then I read it again. And then all of a sudden shot it on camera. And it was really easy, just like chunk it down. So that's what I found out to be a really effective way to make a course because that's my first time doing it. And that worked great. We launched the campaign. We pre-sold it at $16,000 for 20 spots while we were making it. We didn't have it made and it was super sweet that people were interested and wanted to get this. I was very honored. $16,000 for a course that's not even made, just video, right? And a little bit of coaching. Ended up launching the course for $25,000, had a bunch of buyers. We had so many more people who just couldn't afford it. So eventually we decided to drop it to $3,000 a month and launch this coaching program. And it was amazing. It was so much fun, right? Alex Hormozi's team in there, acquisition.com signed up, Tony Robbins' team signed up. There were guys doing $40 million a year, $72 million a year, $100 million a year, just didn't do supplements yet. A lot of the biggest players in the industry began gathering to learn how we were doing VSLs in Mind Valley. And basically what I've been doing for the last 6 years in my career, the VSL God, a lot of people like to call me, which is pretty dope. I did like that name. Even though the more that I identified with VSL God, I feel like the worse my VSL ended up doing. Something about the ego just didn't make it work. What ended up happening, we ended up driving back to running this program. I ended up flying back to California, me and Caitlyn. I ended up doing Wes Watson's mastermind for $10,000, stayed at his house for 4 days. This is one of the secrets is I just fly. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna land early. I'm coming to your mastermind. Can I just stay at your house like early? He was like, sure. Right? I think it's because I'm one of his best testimonials. That was one of the reasons. I sent him some videos that he was able to get a lot of people from. And so he let me stay. I got to live with Wes Watson for 4 days. I'm in his house. The guy's huge. I'm in this mansion, ginormous. Costs the guy $40 every time he wants to open his gates, the gates to his house, because they're so freaking heavy, right? $40 in electricity bills just to open the gate. That's how crazy this guy's place is. Millions of dollars worth of cars, completely stacked worth of cars. The guy is like a hero, hardcore. He threatens to beat me up all the time to pay attention. I've always wanted somebody who is ahead of me in life, smarter than me, more driven, and is just telling me what to do and not beating around the bush. I really respond well to somebody who's living the life I want to live, and I got to stay with him, go to the gym with him. I mean, I wake up at 4 in the morning. I'm in the car with him by 4 in the morning. We get to the gym by 4:30. He's sitting there. The gym's open at 5. It's not even open for another half hour. He just sits there and he just thinks about what he's going to post to his people. And that's how much this guy really cared about. He literally lives for his people and lives for, he's probably the greatest creator of men of all time. That's what I think, who's ever lived. Hardcore. The guy's going down as a complete legend. Today he's got a fucking mansion in Miami, and he flies on private jets back from Miami to San Diego all the time. Completely next level kind of stuff that he's doing there. So Caitlyn and I ended up getting a place in Laguna Beach to keep working. We ended up getting this big idea. I wanted to get a supercar because I had been missing my cars. I'm like a cowboy without a horse if I don't have a Lambo. So I end up like really wanting to get a Lambo. So I go to the Lambo dealership in Newport Beach, but I really just didn't have the right feeling. I was looking at SVJ, I was looking at a Huracan, I was looking at, the Urus, and I just kind of felt like something's just kind of missing. One of the biggest regrets that I had when I sold my skincare brand before I lost all the money was that I always had a dream of giving my parents $100,000, and this was the kind of dream that I had. So I had this idea one day while smoking the weed, sitting in a jacuzzi, great place to learn information, that I was gonna just give the Lambo budget to my parents. How about we just do that? So I ended up taking $250,000. Caitlyn has this incredible idea to go, make a huge thing about it. I'm always like moving super fast. She's like, oh, let's make a huge documentary about it. So that's when we shot the $250,000 Give It to the Parents video, which was incredible. We flew them down to stay in this epic house. We were staying in Laguna Beach. We ended up flowing to Eric Spofford's mastermind, because I was really big in the coaching mastermind thing again. Ended up being a phenomenal mastermind. I met the guy who started BoxyCharm and sold that. I think they did like $150 million in sales. And he was starting an AI company, and I was getting intuition hits from the universe, right, that I should do VSL.AI. But the domain was taken. I had put in some offers and they denied it. So I kind of gave up on it. And then at this event, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to get this domain name, right? I'm gonna pull the trigger on this. Something intuition hit just was starting to hit me. And if you ever have those, you gotta think about it, right? If you ever have a little we all have antennas in our head that are listening to what we wanna do and listening to what we should be doing, and we really gotta be listening and thinking about it. And I was getting hard VSL.AI intuitive vibes, and I decided at that event I was gonna pull the trigger. And I decided to pull the trigger, buy the domain name. I put a crazy high price for it. He comes back, he says, yes, pull the trigger, bam, VSL.AI is born. That was a blessing. That was super dope. Ended up coming back to Venice. I find a development team. Me and my team start putting this thing together. I meet this nutritionist who we start working on my health, because finally I had a place where I wanted to stay. So I start getting meals. I could start eating macros a lot. I kind of lost a lot of my fitness goals when I was traveling, and I'd always maxed out at 180 pounds. And as a leader, a teacher of men, I wanted to be someone that showed up as someone like Wes Watson, who is, not just crushing financially, but crushing health and fitness wise and crushing the relationship thing. I just wanted to be a full-rounded badass that is worth listening to. Really, like a fat rich guy, really wisdom doesn't land as much, right? The whole point of rolling up in the Lambo is so that my words land in their hearts, right? I pulled up the other day and this kid was outside and he had a t-shirt that said, Broken Lives Matter on him, and he was rough. He'd just been in and out of rehab. He's 18 years old, right? He's basically sleeping on his friend's floor, but he was fascinated by me because he saw me roll up in a Lambo. And I gotta drop some wisdom to this guy. And without the Lambo would be without the wisdom. That kid would go without the wisdom. So I was super blessed. Always stunting, as Wes says. You pull up, their mouths drop so you can put gold inside. That was one of the kind of situations there. Finally start gaining some weight. Finally start eating the right macro set. Finally, we're looking for a home. We're looking through, we end up going to Colombia for A-Fest, which was pretty amazing. That was a really, really cool time. Very short. We're thinking about where we want to live. We're searching through, we come back to California, we're looking for West Hollywood. We're living in Venice, but it just seemed a little bit sketchy, especially if I wanted to get a supercar again. We're looking at Beverly Hills. I hear from my friends that if you drive a Lambo, there's a 70% chance you get a gun to your face, which is very lame. And these are locals that are telling me this. So I was like, frick, I don't like that place. Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, no. Venice, no. What about Laguna Beach? I wrote down, was thinking about what are the favorite things I have for all the places that I've lived. Number one was a view. That was the best thing ever. I wanted to have the dopest fucking view ever that Caitlyn and I could be just sitting and living with. And the next thing was like, a music space. There was a dope office that I could work at, but that was kind of the core thing. And when we looked into the places in Laguna Beach, I had found some beautiful spots. And we ended up searching all of them. We had an amazing realtor and we found the fucking most clutch spots, home base in Laguna Beach. You can see pictures of it right here. Freaking blessing. It's always cool to be leveling up. This is definitely a high score for me on rent. We're renting it. I didn't decide to buy it because we moved so much. I moved so much. I'm definitely not about to buy anything anytime soon. So that was kind of the situation there. Ended up giving the money to the parents. Thankfully, everything was going really well. So we were able to get the Lambo too, which was another high score. Dream, Lambo, Aventador S. I decided to not do the SVJ and stick with the S. It's half the price. I went on Auto Trader. I wanted to find the best Lambo of my life, right? I just wanted to fulfill my Aventador dreams and go all the way with the dream, not get some half-ass dream car, get the full dream car. So I go on Auto Trader and I search the entire country for the perfect Aventador spec, and I find this fucking gorgeous silver Aventador S with the SV body kit, with the custom freaking steering wheel that's carbon and has the red little outliers with the beautiful, sexy red fucking interior and the custom exhaust. Man, that was a perfect freaking car. We got it shipped out here, and we bought it, got it shipped, and it got here, and oh my God, what a dream come true. Roadster, right, driving around with the top down, ripping around, having the time of my life, being someone worth listening to, launching VSL.AI. We launched that tool 3 weeks ago. I'm about to turn 33 tomorrow, and so many big pictures. We had a quick little 2-week trip to Estonia for end review because Caitlyn had this monster. By the way, I want to shout out to Caitlyn really quick. She had a monster event in Estonia, introducing everybody at Mindvalley University, all the authors. 3 weeks, she was out there crushing it. I stayed for 2 weeks so I could get back and do this startup. But she spoke for her first time since forever on stage, 2 hours long talking. I don't think she had ever spoken on, actually, she'd never spoken on stage, right, babe? 2 hours pitching this thing. Ends up winning. Mindvalley tracks all the voters. Everybody gets to vote. There are like 60 plus speakers, world-renowned, best speakers in the world here, speaking at Mindvalley University over 3 weeks. She won number 3, the number 3rd best voted speaker. And so proud of you, baby. Absolutely amazing. She's a complete showstopper. Brings people to tears like you wouldn't believe. No tomorrow. Ridiculous. So where are we at with VSL.AI right now? Right, we might have a little bit of brand changes coming soon. But there is a future here. AI technology has really, I was really worried that it was gonna take a lot of jobs, but I think the opposite is true. I think people who have, might lose their job to AI can use AI to find and create a new skill set. AI can bring your skills up instantly. And what we've done with VSL.AI is incredible. We've got the best reviews. I'm so proud of it. But it is so small compared to the potential of what it can now be. I just hired the dopest fucking advanced dev team. My first AI thing, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know what platforms I was signing up with. Never done a software company before. I'm just taking action and learning, making some mistakes, which made our software, I mean, it works amazing, but if you compare it to other big ass softwares, it's kind of like, you know, still lemonade stand looking, you know? So thankfully we fixed that, and we have got so many heavy hitting, life-changing AI transformational features coming out that is going to be like a Jasper.ai killer. We've got a ClickFunnels killer coming out. We've got a Canva.com killer coming out. We have got everything a marketer will ever need to make them, well, like maybe a marketing genius in a sense. So all of this is coming out. It's all gonna be the latest, best blazing fucking tech out there that no one's ever seen, right? This is brand new stuff that's involved with the AI world, and I couldn't be more excited to bring it to everyone, to you. This has been really crazy to grind. These things are expensive, right? Pretty expensive. And but we're blessed enough to have this amazing revenue stream through Mindvalley and the royalties I'm getting on the videos to be able to fund everything and put this badass fucking project together. Badass team together. We've got an incredible team. I've got 2 development teams. Shout out to everyone. Thank you so much to my team. Thank you so much, Jess and Jack and Shin, for coming together and help putting together this incredible business that we have. This is such an exciting adventure to be on, and can't wait for 33. Thank you so much for watching. I think that is update. Peter Kell out.